Today I'm going to get better at Minecraft building by cheating. I'm going to use every possible trick and tool available to me to make something that looks cool. And thankfully I've already completed stage 1 of this process. I've spent the past 12 years hanging around with some of the best Minecraft builders on the planet, playing survival Minecraft on the Hermitcraft server, and I've sort of soaked up some of their knowledge like a small Minecraft sponge. Emphasis on small, my brain is definitely not 1 meter cubed. Now one thing that I've learned from all of these professionals is that gradients are awesome, and the mod Axiom has the ability to help me with my gradients, and also has a color picker. This is incredibly satisfying to play around with. So I want a gradient that kind of goes from white concrete through to some of the coppery colors and then makes its way to darkness. So if I start putting those in, what have we got? We've got some weird colors in here. I think I'm going to play around with some of these. I mean, that's not bad. I'm not really a big fan of the sculpt, but I do like this. Something along these lines is not terrible. I've laid out all of the blocks, and I've also added a few extras. Now, I'll be the first to admit that things look a little bit chaotic up close, but as we travel further away, the textures kind of fade a little bit, and now we're starting to get a smooth transition between the blocks. Now, why have I gone for cyany tones for the shadowy end of the gradient? It's because one thing that I learned from my years of being a professional cinematographer is that shadows in films are very rarely pure black. The colorists will tend to put blue or teal into the shadows. It's known as the orange and teal look. Some films do this incredibly aggressively, and you're definitely going to notice it from this point forward. But it's a vibe that I want to try and achieve in today's Minecraft build. My next cheat is I'm going to steal other people's ideas. Not other people's Minecraft builds, that would be very frowned upon and awful, but I am going to be taking inspiration from other media, things like films and TV series. Building up a solid mood board so I have loads of images to take inspiration from is going to be a solid start. So with all my pre-production planning completed, it is now time to start building. And I'm going to warn you, this thing is going to look weird for a considerable amount of time. And I have to say, I actually started to panic. Initially, when I planned out to do this time-lapse, I was only going to build the outer shell, but it looked so horrific that I actually couldn't stop myself from starting to add in all of the details and all of the extra bits and pieces because they took the edge off what I had created. One thing that I've definitely learned in recent years is that you should 100% trust the process and know that things are likely going to work out, and that the details are actually where the build comes alive. I mean, if we think back to the references that I chose, they are so thick with stuff. There's so much stuff going on. Every square centimeter of the frame has got things happening in it, and that is not something that I previously did with my Minecraft builds up until very recently. It feels really weird to add so much junk and so much just like noise, I guess, to a Minecraft build. But that is actually where the build starts to come to life. And in the references, the things that I really like about them is like the gritty, the dirty, the faded, polluted environment that they exist in. I love the excessive amounts of electrical appliances and like things connecting the buildings. And I also love the fact that despite the fact that these references are pretty dystopian and horrible looking, they're also oddly colourful, and that is all stuff I wanted to get through in this build. But even I will admit, it still looks absolutely insane. And that is for a few very specific reasons. And these are probably the biggest building cheats that I'm going to be utilizing today. Number 1, I am building for one very specific angle. This one. This looks pants. This looks kind of pants. We're not even going to talk about this. This is the angle I'm going for. And in fact, I'm actually going for this angle with a field of view of 30. Look how much cooler that already looks. This is like taking a selfie at 0.5x zoom on your phone, and this is a flattering 50mm. I've also built this with one specific time of day in mind, when the sun is over here. If we flip this around, look how weird that looks. But I've also made the shadows extremely aggressive on this build, knowing full well that once I enable shaders, the haze of the shaders will actually take the edge off, and it will look significantly more natural. I might change the time of day ever so slightly to take some of the warmth out of it. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Oh, we're getting somewhere. That right there is starting to look pretty nice, right? Like suddenly that shadow side doesn't look so weird anymore. The gradients are all sort of easing off a little bit. The glass is less noticeable. And now we actually have a build that looks pretty cool already. Oh gosh, now Minecraft feels weird without shaders. So we're at a pretty good place, but I think it's time to add some animation. Now, of course, we can do this using redstone and trapdoors, a bit like what I do with the animated fans. That's what I'd do in survival if we weren't using any cheats. But of course, today I'm getting better at building through cheating, and to do that, I have actually made an animated painting. Now, it is an animated painting of the build itself. I was trying to work out how to do the animated paintings, and I needed a video clip, and I just recorded the building. And I gotta say, it weirdly looks kind of cool, but it's not what I'm going to be sticking with, because these here, they're meant to be like advertisements. And I want to make them look more advertisement-y. And I think we also have space on this side here for some big billboards. So it's time to open up Adobe After Effects and get animating. I have created animation number 1. It is so weird making things on a 16 by 16 canvas. I think it looks cool though. All right. This already looks cool. This already looks cool. I almost want to make like an advert pack. Oh, hang on. And you can place them... Wait, they're always in time? Wait, they're always in time with one another. Well, that seems like it could be useful. We could definitely use repeating patterns on a big billboard here and then actually have like a Minecraft... I could do something like this. But with, like, repeating textures and things. Okay, let's get these other few done. This is all so stupid. Oh, that's not gone to plan. I think I've run into a problem where these two fonts are too close. In fact, they're exactly the same. They're almost matching up a little bit. So I've now fixed that, and I've also fixed the movement of the redstone blocks, because that was a bit weird. And now I have locked in and done all of the remaining animated textures. Now, can you take a guess on which ones are my favorite? I mean, obviously, we've got all of the adverts and things, and there is an extra one down at the bottom here. But I think the thing that is probably most noticeable on this build right now is that we now have animated air conditioning units in the style of trapdoors. I like to think this was a brief moment of genius from me. I just kind of imported the texture of the trapdoor and then brought the opacity down of the central bit, took the texture, did some spinning of it, and this is what I've ended up with. And I really, really, really want these in vanilla Minecraft somehow. I don't even know how they would fit in, but I want them. Oh, and you may be able to notice I've also done some slightly darker, slightly cyan-toned ones as well. So even the ones on our shadow side are looking good. I forgot I've got infinite reach on. But yeah, there is no doubt these things are outrageously cool. Now I'm just doing a quick mock-up of how big the advert on the side will be if we use 2 paintings that are 4x4 in size. And I do think that could look quite cool. That really could look quite cool, couldn't it? It already looks kind of cool and there's nothing going on. It's just pictures of the build on the side. Not to pull back the curtain too much here, but the next Hermitcraft season starts in about 5 hours. I really should be preparing, but instead I am looking for fonts that best match the Glyco logo. I don't even know what Glyco is. Apparently they make ice cream, which is like the least offensive thing the company could make, so that's exciting. What are we thinking of this? I personally am pretty happy about how this has come together. So after spending far too long referencing a niche advert that only exists in one geographical location, I have now added it to my build, and frankly, I could not be happier. This is one of the best decisions I've ever made. It looks completely ridiculous, to the point where I'm actually starting to think that maybe I should redesign the other adverts that currently exist on this build. It's making the other ones look bad. I'm so happy that all the paintings run on the same clock, as it were, so that means that both of these paintings are synced up with one another, and we have got ourselves a fluid animation that is far bigger than any painting that you could have regularly. What's hilarious is this wasn't even my plan for the animations. I was actually going to do fill commands with command blocks and do like stop motion stuff, and then I remembered that you could animate paintings, and I've gone down this rabbit hole, and it's been fun. But there is still a lot more for me to do. Now we're going to move on to the surroundings. First things first, I wanted to replace all of the grass with pale moss blocks, so it's more in keeping with this sort of industrial dead vibe, the polluted feel. Now I'm going to replace all of the grass with this, which I think is quite new, and I really like the way that it looks, although I don't know if it looks that good on the pale moss blocks, to be honest. Oh, what? I made a backup before doing any of that, and I'm very glad that I did. Okay, well, I guess I'll go around and do this manually then. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Obviously, there's some grass off in the distance and things, but the next thing that I'm going to experiment with is reducing my render distance right the way down. You see, the thing that I liked in a lot of the reference images that I've got is the haziness and how close the haze seemed and how structures disappeared into the fog. And I want to try and recreate that. Not with this build, but builds surrounding it. I want there to be tower blocks in the background that are kind of half covered by fog. And the only way to really work this out is by effectively like placing in some blocks and seeing where they sit in the composition. I actually think this is a not a bad start. Now, the important thing here is I really don't want this background to actually take away from the build itself, so I'm going to keep it really simple. Yeah. Okay, I think this is working. We've got a little bit of space off to the left. It doesn't feel like it's butting up against anything cool. I think I'm going to put something in this gap, but further back. Yeah, not too bad. There's like a little hint of something. You can kind of imagine there being a building back there. I think we can get away with another big one. This is one of those things that there's kind of no science to it. You're just sort of floating about and trying to feel around. I definitely... Whoa, maybe I didn't place that one too close, because then, you know, you've got that in the foreground. But then if there's a skyscraper like a little bit further back from it, that could actually look cool. I basically can't see past the end of my nose. Like, the fog is insane. I'm using aggressive shaders. There's bloom on my face. And I've spent 2 days working on something that only looks good at one field of view from one very specific angle. What happens if I increase the render distance ever so slightly? Does it look any better? No, it looks awful. Oh my goodness. So after endlessly fiddling with the background and fiddling around with the camera angle, this is it. I'm happy. I've kind of wandered about in this area for ages, testing like minute differences in field of view. I've moved the buildings in the background back and forth by single blocks for ages to get the perfect level of haze. I think we've just about managed it. You can kind of see them towering in the background, but can't really make them out. There's a huge gap in the top left-hand corner, which motivates the light coming through onto our build. It means that the shadows on our build actually do make sense, which is fantastic. We're getting a good look at the shadow side, but also a good look at the front side. I think it's time I take the official screenshot. Let's line everything up properly, and I think that's it. I think that's the one. And now, just to prove how much I'm cheating with this build, and to prove that this title is not clickbait, here we go. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Oh, I'm a total fraud. What?